I gave up on my dreams and fell in love with myself at 31. And this is how and why I did it. Not really how, but why I did it and the outcome. The how is like another video, honestly. So I graduated from grad school in 2023. I got my MFA in acting. And by that point, I was pursuing acting for about 12 years. And it's been a very long 12 years of making everything in my life a means to an end so that I can go to grad school and become a working actor and graduate and get all the agents and yeah. Let's drink some water. So basically, the biggest thing that could really happen from my point of view was that I would do showcase, which is basically our end of year performance. A huge agent would see me and whisk me away and sign me, and I'd do all these great movies and basically be a working actress. I did get signed to management and agents that I really loved, but I knew that things weren't going to happen that way for me. I've already learned by that point, 12 years into this process, I already learned that there was a motif in my life. Things always took longer for me. And so I finally accepted that. And another thing that I had learned was a lot of great actors or people that were working actors and actors, they said that they basically booked their dream roles once they moved on with their lives. Like, I guess the biggest example is a lot of women would say, I decided to finally have a kid and then I booked the show that changed my whole life. So yeah, I was graduating and I was just like, I want to know what it's like to just have a good life and not make everything as a means to an end to become an actor, you know? So in 2023, I made the decision to forgo my intense journey and my intense focus on acting. I was going to instead focus on building a very joyous life for myself. And that was the first choice I made. And that was the catalyst for the next 3 years for my life to basically change. Now, at this point, I really hated myself. I have hated myself most of my life. I hated looking in the mirror. I cried every time I looked in the mirror. I've been on a diet since I was 9 years old. I've lost weight. I've gained weight. I've fasted. I've had many relationships with eating disorders most of my life. And I really was just tired of all of that. And I just wanted to know what it was like to live. So in 2023, my resolution became that I would build a life that I loved for myself. I'm getting my notes ready because there's a lot and I'm trying to get through it before my computer runs out of space. But I remember my bed is messy. Sorry guys. Actually, I don't care. So the first thing that I had to do was I had to have a stable income. And it took me forever to find a job. There's a whole video about that summer after I graduated and how depressed I was. Again, another thing was not only did I really loathe myself, but I was depressed for most of my life. Like I was a functioning depressive person. I don't really know the term, but yeah, I was miserable. I remember one time in 2023, I was on the phone with my friends and I was like, yeah, I feel like for the past 10 years I've just been underwater trying to breathe. And one friend was like, that's not normal. And I'm like, I guess it's not. Anyways, after I made the goal for 2023 to build a life that I really loved, I had to find a job, and my goal was to get a job in social media. I ended up getting one part-time job 6 months after graduating, but I also got a part-time job as a retail associate at a company I used to work for. And I worked both of those jobs together for a year. It was a lot. I was working 60, 70 hours for 1 year, and it was one job I loved and the other one I hated. Guess which one I hated. But yeah, in my journey in 2023 to basically create a life that I loved, I ended up having 2 jobs that I could have, and it was easy for me to still pursue acting. I was making an income, but I can also audition, so I was really blessed in that way. I developed some bad habits this year because of the retail job, and yeah, so that was in 2023. In 2024, after finding some financial stability, I wanted to fall in love with myself, and that was my goal for 2024. So I remember I just started every day saying in the mirror, I love you, I love you, I love you. Mind you, the through line for the past 3 years was also to get to a point where I could grieve a significant loss I had while I was in school. And I felt like I never got to grieve because after I lost my mom, I had to just like go back to school and deal with all this stuff. So I just never really got the chance to grieve. So my ultimate goal was to really create a stable life for myself, be present, and cry. Anyways, 2024, fall in love with myself. This meant I started buying clothes that fit me because of my lifestyle and how I felt about food in my body. I didn't really have clothes in my closet that fit me. I had clothes that I wanted to fit into, and then I had clothes that covered me up well, right? So I started dressing up again and feeling really feminine, and that did a number for my psyche, let me tell you that. I also started reading Women Who Run with Wolves, and one of the stories that really stood out to me, even 2-3 years later, is Red Shoes. And for me, what I got from that was the importance of creating things on your own, and not wanting new and shiny things because those can keep you hostage. So I basically started to learn to really love the things I owned. And I also learned to listen to my instincts because of this book, or at least I began the journey of making sure I listened to my instincts. So if I liked something, if I had any choices to make, but one thing just felt like duh, another thing didn't, I didn't question it anymore. I stopped questioning things, and I was like, instinct. That year I went viral on TikTok with my best friend, and that also did a lot for me because all of a sudden this whole world of TikTok opened up for me, and that was my first video I ever posted. It has like 2 million views right now. Oh, and by the end of 2024, I did start really loving myself and feeling healthy and strong, and I decided 2 things: that I was going to quit my retail job, and I was going to run a half marathon in 2025. So 2025 came, and in 2024 I turned 30. That was really important because I think because my goal for 2029 was to fall in love with myself. It came out of the fact that I was about to turn 30, and I didn't want to spend another 30 years of hating myself. And I already tried that for 30 years, and it did not work. So I was like, I just got to go the opposite direction and just make myself believe that I love myself, that I love my life, that everything is good for me. And I wanted to know what that kind of life would feel like. At the end of 2024, I turned 30, and I had literally the greatest birthday of my life. I was surrounded by everyone that made me feel super safe and super loved. And I just couldn't have asked for another way to enter 30, and I think that energy really did a number on me. That's the year I decided family and friends were going to become a priority, because I was just bathed in so much love, and I was finally able to receive it because my heart was opening up, because I never really felt like I deserved love, and that I always had to like work for it. Sorry, oh my God. I also started practicing yoga. And that did quite a number on me, but I didn't realize it, but I just was showing up as much as I can. And me and my roommate were moved, so we were then living in a space where there was a lot more light in my home, and that also was very helpful. This is important because this also leads into 2025, but I was going on really bad dates in 2024. I just was going on dates with men who just were just horrible. And I realized that I had to stop looking for love and just become it. So 2025, my number one goal was to not date. And it was the best decision I ever made because my life really changed in 2025. I ran the half marathon and decided I was never going to run again after that. But I also really ruined my body. It was just a lot of stress on my body. And at the time, I didn't know what to do. I had to heal myself. And there was just this voice in my head being like, go for a walk. Just go for a walk. Long story short, I walk 20K steps every day now. Walking is the best thing that's ever happened to me. And it has healed my body significantly. And it has like structured my body in a way that I just feel so strong. And I might even run again, but who knows. This also in 2025, early on, because I decided to stop dating, there was one weekend when I interacted with 2 different men, and it was a bad experience, so much so that one ended with me like threatening to get the police involved. And again, I was in yoga. I was practicing a lot of yoga at this time, and I remember coming home after this interaction and being like, for the first time in my life, I want to be healthy for reasons that have nothing to do with men or wanting to be beautiful. Like, I just want to be healthy so I can hold a crow. I want to be healthy so I can be in a headstand. I want to be healthy so I can do these cool yoga poses that I was starting to love so much. And I remember having that thought and being like, I'm just going to film it. I'm going to film it. I filmed it and I posted it on TikTok, this idea of things that make me want to be healthier that have nothing to do with men. Or wanting to be beautiful. And it was just a video of me doing all these new poses that I had learned. And people were really loving it. And then I made it the next day, but this time I added words to it. And I talked about how certain poses were like, it meant something to me in my life. And that did well. Fast forward 2 weeks, I gained like 1,000 followers from these videos, right? And for about a year, stuck on 2,000 followers. So I had about 3,000 followers after 2 weeks. And then I posted a video titled, Things That Make Me Want to Be Healthier That Have Nothing to Do with Men or Wanting to Be Beautiful. I Want to Get Old with My Best Friend. And that video got me 14K followers in 4 days. Some celebrity followers too. And this moment was really significant for me because I think for most of my life, I never considered myself a writer, even though it was something that I did my sophomore year of high school, that I never forgot how much fun and joy I had writing. And everything I wrote in that class I kept. And it's one of the things that my memorabilia is that I travel with, that I always have by my side no matter where I move to. And so I always had a hold on it, but still I never called myself a writer. But when these videos started going viral, and I was talking about my experience as a woman and finding love for myself, using words and my own experiences, I was like, oh, wait, I can write again. So again, it's been probably 2 years since my initial thing of building a life that I love to live in, and then making sure that I fell in love with myself in 2024, and now it's 2025, and I have returned to this joy that I had when I was younger that I forgot about completely. And yeah, so my TikTok was going viral. I was getting a huge audience of exactly what I needed. Like, if I was ever gonna go viral and do something every single day for the rest of my life on TikTok, it would be exactly that. But in the back of my mind, it still didn't feel right in the sense of like, why do I have to suck this out of myself every single day? These things that I was writing meant so much to me. They were so cathartic for me that I felt like I was mending old spots on my body. And it wasn't until a few months later I realized that writing was my grieving. It was my grieving all the things I disliked about myself, all my experiences as a woman. And I wrote one for my mother, and that felt like a huge grievance that I was able to express. So a lot of things were finally happening for me that I really wanted to happen for me. Okay. What else? Oh, I had a meeting with like a friend that really knew the Vedic chart really well, and one thing I really received from that was that I gotta stop trying to find myself, and I just gotta do things. I gotta have something that I do, and I do it religiously, and that thing was yoga. I was like, you know what, yeah, I'm not gonna focus on trying to become anything. I'm just gonna show up every day and do these things that make me feel good, which was yoga, writing, spending time with family, calling friends, all that stuff. I started performing my writing. Like, I have a lot of artist friends, and they would put on shows, and they started asking me to perform my Things That Make Me Want to Be Healthier series. And I was like, wait, this is so cool. Like, I've always loved acting, but I just like being able to speak my words with my voice has been what I've always been attracted to. So this was such a wonderful experience. Oh, okay, so I'm gonna read this part. I healed through my writing. I stopped dating this year because it was the perfect time for me to start healing. No job I hated, a new apartment I loved. I had more love for myself, and I had more time. I wasn't going to waste my time like trying to find love. I was going to just be it and live in it. And I just wanted to start healing. at some point this year, I guess I had decided I wanted to be a good person, like whatever that meant. Not falsely good to people just because, but inside of my heart, I wanted to be a good person. And it was, and like, so these habits of learning how to stop judging people also started to come in my life. Like, whenever I found myself judging people, I'd be like, what does that say about you? You know, and then I would have to figure out what that meant, and I would try to heal that thing in my heart. And as I stopped judging people, I started to see the beauty in everything, in everyone. And the things that, yeah, it was a lot happening for me. This also, I learned to really talk to myself positively. Like, my current state is just positive talk in my head. Like, nothing is just like, oh, you can't do this, but more like, just do it, and if it's bad, it's bad. Like, and even then, it's like, oh, it's yours, because you did it. So there's an intense amount of positive talk finally happening in my head for the first time in my whole life, right? So I was literally changing the way my brain was speaking to me. I'm just trying to get so much in here. So please ask questions below if you have any. I guess I started walking. Oh, the most important thing that happened this year was I met a Reiki practitioner, and she had like this like meditation circle she would have once a month and stuff, like a new moon thing. And the first one I went to, it was about for the greater good. So I remember it was about manifesting and really dreaming about the life that you want. And then she'd be like, you know, what is the life you want? All this and that and that. And then she'd be like, but is it for the greater good? And I remember thinking, no. And so, like I said, I really wanted to be a good person inside and out, no falsehood, this year. And having that experience and realizing that my dreams and the things that I wanted to achieve in this world didn't have was not for the greater good, was very eye-opening for me. And anyways, my life changed after that experience. Everything I did, I wanted to make sure that I was being intentional about it and that it would actually help people. Or most importantly, my thought process was, if I was to leave this earth any day, I wanted to leave behind a good seed, a peaceful seed, a kind seed, something that would sprout into those things when I'm gone, right? So yeah, that happened to me. And I don't know how people would take this, but on October 8th, I woke up and I was like, I'm going to be vegan, and I never went back. And I think for me, that was a huge sign of healing, because growing up, I never liked eating meat. I'm African, and there's meat in everything. And I just remember like my mom forcing me to eat meat because she hated that I would like eat the soup around it. And so I was just eating meat. But I remember when I decided to become vegan, I was like, yeah, of course, like. And it also, for me, because at this time I was becoming more intentional with how I could help the world, it also felt like this was how I could help the world. I no longer wanted to give my money away to businesses that were not taking care of us when it comes to the food industry, but they were like billionaires. So for me, this was also my radical act, yeah? And so, yeah, I became vegan overnight. And after being on diet since I was 9 years old, it was at 30 years old that I stopped dieting forever because I went vegan, and it just felt so normal. And that was another sign of me healing. So far, 3 really big things started happening to me that took me back to my younger years when I was like the happiest and more creative I felt. The first was I started to have a sense of style that I felt was really specific to me. And the second was I started writing again. And then the third was becoming vegan. It felt like super healing for me. Because I was no longer thinking about food 24/7 when I became vegan, my mind opened up to a lot of other stuff. And I became hyper aware of the world that I was living in. And that is going to have a huge effect on my 2026. And that's like a different story. But yeah, we're back to the present. And the biggest thing right now is I am making this video because I'm no longer posting on YouTube, Instagram, or TikTok in the hopes of you guys, in the hopes of that I no longer want to support these platforms, because I personally just feel the owners of these platforms aren't really aiding the greater good, and I want to own my work. So I'm currently in the process of moving to a more independent platform, something that gives me a lot of autonomy over my work, and I really hope you guys follow me there, where I'll continue my series, and I'll continue vlogging, and I'll continue sharing my thoughts, and I'll continue growing into a really incredible person and offering you guys everything that you need to also become the person of your dreams, because we really can be. And one of the greatest lessons I've learned the past 3 years is that you've got to start slow, and you've got to start period. You got to start slow, and you just got to start. Like, this whole journey started with me just wanting a good life, and then me just looking in the mirror and telling myself I love myself, and then me not dating. And now in 2026 I do have a goal, but I will not share it. But the ripple effects of all three of those things in the past 3 years have been life-changing. I can't even explain it. I'm not the person I used to be at all. I lived with major depression my whole life, and I am currently like the happiest I've ever been. And I have a lot of belief in myself, and I have the audacity to believe that I could make a difference in this world, and I don't think I ever could before. So make a choice today and just stick with it, even if it's like today you're gonna make a phone call to someone you haven't been calling. Do it. Just do the things you've been putting to the side. Do them bad, do them loud, do them proud, but get them done, and just start the journey towards the person you want to be. And it doesn't matter what age you are. Again, I'm 31, and I let go of my dreams of becoming an actress, and I ended up falling in love with myself. I'm still wanting to be an actress. I still want to be an actress. It's not the center of my world. And nothing should be the center of your world except you, truly. Bye.